Much like poker night at your parents' house, this weird road is intended for a mature audience. Thank you for listening, but listener discretion advised.
Danger! Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! It's This Weird Road! Everybody run! How you doing, folks? I'm Wolf Hammerheart. With me, as always, is
Boli Thorn.
And we're here to entertain you and hopefully bring you something resembling knowledge. This week, we're going to talk about the also true version of the afterlife.
Or afterlives, if you will. Because we have
Indeed
a few options.
Yeah, we are a multifaceted people, like a gym. Flawed, multifaceted, faceted, not flacid. That's me after a certain meal.
No, that's flatulent.
That too. So, we're full of something over here, but hopefully most of it's knowledge.
So anyhow,
you want to lead us off on this one, Boli?
Oh, I don't know. I have a lot to say.
Some of it might actually be relevant, though.
Well, all of it is. All of it's relevant. Get out your notepads, kiddos. A lot of things. There's a lot of misconceptions. Mainly because of Strolson. Thanks.
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions I find lately, and it's actually more due to popular culture screwing some things up.
Right.
Is a lot of people think that Valhalla is the complete run of our afterlife.
The entire.
Yeah, and what people don't realize is Valhalla is a place. It's a hall, and you have to be pretty much very special to go there.
Singular. Oh,
it is a sensation. Because Valhalla isn't. Not only is Valhalla just one hall, it's Odin's hall for his portion of the chosen slain. So you don't just die a heathen and go to Valhalla. To get into Valhalla, you have to die in battle, in glorious battle, and do something that sets you apart. That
it has to be
chosen by Odin.
It has to be honorable battle.
One of his Valkyries.
That's basically.
Yeah.
Now there was a thing that happened, especially shortly after the end, basically of the Viking era.
Mm-hmm.
Was rich Northerners started carrying spear tips with them in case they were going to die a straw death. They would injure themselves with it.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Wow, that's lame.
Yeah, it was kind of an attempted get out of jail free card.
Like they're not going to get to Asgard and the gods are going to go, hold on, you don't think I saw that happen?
Exactly.
I mean, he is called the all-seeing All-Father for a reason. May only have the one eye, but it sees a lot.
Well, he's also got Hunin and Munin.
Who see a lot.
Oh my God. I had a conversation this weekend online. Someone was on a board on Facebook and asked about female deities represented or associated with crows or ravens.
Okay.
But she used the word goddess. And I'm like, well, believe it or not, folks, I'm actually a pretty staunch feminist.
I know it's a shock, but it's actually true.
And I interjected with Odin. And I said, because I don't use the term goddess, because it is a diminutive form of God.
Yeah,
it's meant to diminish their importance.
Yeah, here's a little extra knowledge for those of you out there who don't know what he's referencing there. ESS suffix on anything, goddess, stewardess, all that stuff, actually means small, diminutive, or lesser. So anytime you call someone a goddess, for example, you're saying she's less than the other gods just because she's female, and that's not fair.
And I'm like, no. I said I put Sigyn and Loki on the same level. I put Thor and Sif on the same level. They may not have the same impact. I said, but none of us are any good without the others.
Agreed.
Right? I said, now I put Odin above the rest because All-Father. He's the man.
Right. But why did you put him on this list of female deities? I'm curious about that.
He practices Sied, or Sieder.
Yeah, which is considered to be a female magic within the culture, but he knew it.
The whole reason I brought it up, though, was because I kind of wanted to rub this person's face in that they're being sexist by saying they can only relate to a female god. If they want someone associated with crays or rovens, apparently.
Which are like crows and ravens, for those that speak proper English. We're having trouble with that here today.
I talk the most goodlierest. In case you can't tell, I've got a lot of congestion going. But
I live in the Ohio Valley.
So I'm like, if that is your focus, if the ravens or crows, I said it that time.
Yay.
If that is your focus, then go for Odin. And people were interjecting with Morrigan. And I'm like, Morrigan were technically not deities. They would be on par with the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
They were high-powered Irish spirits.
They were celestial beings, but they weren't gods. They were servants to the gods.
Right.
And actually, the Valkyrie is a very good comparison for the Morrigan, I think.
So I kind of... I interjected there, and I kept basically pointing out that she was being sexist by specifically demanding that this connection be with a female deity. And someone crawled up my butt saying that I was making it about my gender. And I'm like, no.
I'm getting on her about making about her gender is what it sounds like.
I was saying that I don't hold female deities in any sort of lesser light. So I don't call them goddess. They are gods. They are female gods. Anyhow, kind of irrelevant.
It was a little irrelevant, but it was a good tangent. I see where you're going there.
Because we were talking about Odin's interaction there with newly dead.
Right.
But Freya gets an equal cut of the newcomers.
Yeah, when the chosen slain from a battlefield are chosen, Odin chooses half, and Freya chooses half. I've always wondered how does that go. Do they sit up there and Odin goes, you get 50%, I get 50%, or she goes, hey, I'll shoot you for it. You know, they do paper, rock, scissors. Or maybe he goes, I got that one. And he goes, one for me. She goes, one for me. He goes, two for me. Two.
I really think that it would be more like there's lots of ways to die an honorable death.
Yeah.
Honorable death is
a subjective term.
Those who reflected her influence more than Odin's influence would go to her.
Yeah, in seriousness, I think that's how it happens. But, which is... Still, that math's a little askew in Odin's favor because Odin's, for lack of a better term, portfolio covers more.
Yeah. But do you think that he'd be able to snooker her?
No. And Odin can get a lot of things over on a lot of people and deities, but I think if there's one he can't get anything over on, it's her. I honestly believe that. Right. But that, folks, is just a start. That's one of the halls, Valhalla. Right. And one of the ways to get into the afterlife is to be chosen... be one of the chosen slain on the field of battle, but every god, and we have many, we are hard polytheists.
Take your shot, Alex.
Every god has a hall, and I'll be honest, I don't know everybody's quote unquote. I'm doing little air quotes here, requirements, but each god has a hall. I very much hope to end up in Thor's hall when my days are done, but I won't know where I'm going until I'm led there. I mean, I won't know for certain where I'm going until I'm led there.
Well, I have found 5 that are specifically listed as afterlife options.
Okay.
There's Helheim, or Hell, for basically kind of the catch-all. For basically, you've died.
Yeah.
Congratulations, here's your extra life. But... I was going to get to the concept.
I do know some of the specifics for Helheim. The one that I'm up in the air about because I've seen both ways is whether or not straw deaths immediately go there. And for those who hear us toss that term about, if you don't know, a straw death means
illness.
You die of illness or you die in your bed. It's a straw death. Thus coined because at the time beds were made of straw.
Here's the thing. For one, up until Stralsund, there was no concept of a soul to us. It was, you went from this life to the next life. Just as you are. There was no halos, no glowy bits, no...
bits.
you were this person here, now you are that person there. But the differentiation comes after Strawson as far as judgment of character. And that is a decidedly Christian thing.
Well, part of my personal view on it, and some of this is probably carries over, a little bit of carryovers left from when I was Christian, and part of it is also just my personal hopes of, I guess you would say, self-image, is I happen to think once we're shuffled off this mortal coil, if you will.
Done with our meat suits.
Yeah, we'll be idealized versions of ourselves. The best version of ourselves is what we will embody when we're in the afterlife. I could be wrong. That is in no way scholarly knowledge there, folks. That's just my personal slant on it. And like I said, I won't know if I'm right or wrong till I get there, which I hope will be a long, long time coming.
I believe that to be a holdover. Because
that's why I acknowledge that it may well be.
Yeah, according to most recent studies, findings, like archaeological findings and stuff like that, their concept of the afterlife did not involve a soul. It was physically your body went to this, which would be why these mounds were made, where you went in with everything, basically. Yeah. Everything that you could that was going to be necessary in the next life. Like the number of halls, or the number of doors that are mentioned in Valhalla, is 580 doors, so on and so forth. Right. And so many retainers can come through each door, so on. It's a huge number, but the thing is it doesn't encompass anywhere near the number of people who've died honorably in combat.
Right.
So
that may actually be why it was such a high number, because I think even then they were like, this many people will never die that honorably in combat. You want to set the number kind of high,
right,
to make it seem, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's been since then there's been way more people that I would have considered died honorably in combat. Now, maybe my consideration isn't taken into consideration.
Well, like I said earlier,
but it's
honorable death is a subjective term, you know.
But in a very Steve Rogers sense, if someone has thrown themselves on a grenade to save their companions, that is definitely a death that's worthy of.
Yeah, that's an honorable death. I get that.
Of an honorable place. But we get through my list here. There's Helheim, which is kind of the catch-all. Just you go there.
Yeah, I have things to say about that. We'll come back.
There's another counterpart to that. Basically, Volkwang, which is no, I'm wrong there. There's Ran, which is if you've died at sea.
Okay.
So there's no judgment of character there. It's just, this is where you died. She claims you.
Yeah.
Volkwang is Freya's hall. Which, again, there's no real stipulations as to who goes where.
Right.
Valhalla, we all know Valhalla. And then there was one that came about after the Christianization called Nostran. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but that's okay. That is for evildoers. And it's a bad place with snakes hanging from the ceiling that drip poison on you.
That definitely sounds like a Christianization, because we didn't have places for the good, places for the bad. We had places for those who died in this fashion, or as you said about the sea, in this place or this way. So that definitely feels like a Christianization to me, because that's actually one of the things I like about our afterlife is you are judged by the life you live, the virtue, how virtuous a life you lived. But even if you were a bad person, there's no lake of fire and pit of snakes waiting on you.
It's just, here's your afterlife. Go on.
Now you might get stuck in a place you don't like, because one of the things about, for example, Helheim is it's extremely cold.
Now see that again. That comes from Strawson. That is all Christianization.
Well, yeah, but you got to think though.
That's punishment.
Unfortunately,
that's punishment.
Unfortunately, Strawson's version of it is all we have to go on for a lot of them, which kind of kills me. But it's as we've touched on before, that loss of oral culture.
Every day, though, we keep finding these. Take another shot, Alex. Every day, there's more archaeological finds that are giving us more and more of our history back.
That's true, which makes me giddy.
So keep up on these things, guys. It's super important.
Yeah, we often jokingly call heathenism the librarian's religion, or the research religion, the path of research, because you're going to do a lot of it, most likely.
So basically, you have Valhall and Volkfang, which both have kind of a connotation of you definitely lived a good or honorable life to get to one of those.
Yeah.
Because a deity is specifically choosing you to go there. The rest of it kind of seems to be just maybe where you died, or maybe some relation to family. Now there's another option.
Yeah.
Reincarnation. And I want to drop that here, and we'll pick up. I think we should pick up on that after the break.
Okay.
But reincarnation is an option, and it is an ancestral thing for us.
Right.
Just, to throw that out there. We got roughly 10 minutes before we need to take our break. Do you want to dig into one of these halls, or?
Well, one of the things I will say more about the halls is also because we're talking about, we talked about how a lot of people assume the only place is Valhalla, and there are all these other halls.
Yeah.
And all these halls are set within a great realm called Asgard.
Yeah.
Well, Asgard, I prefer to pronounce it that way with a little bit of the accent, but and Asgard is a huge place filled with more than just these halls.
Right.
And I like that because that makes me a little happy, because a lot of times I'm sure I'm not the only person who studies theology and stuff who sits around and wonders, okay, if everybody's right, or these people are right, that people are right, what happens if we get separated from our loved ones? I'm sure other people have had that thought.
Right.
The great part about, like, for example, my wife and I, although both heathen, both primarily venerate different gods. So what happens if we go to different halls? Well, we'll be in different halls in Asgard. So likely as not, and you and I might even end up in different halls. Likely as not, we'll still get to fellowship with each other.
Kind of hope I get involved.
Which I find is often. I bet you do, buddy.
I'm a sex addict.
Anyhow. Well, that's some of the other trimmings, fringe benefits that go with some of these halls. Sex is a free and open thing in Volkfang. That's been documented. There's lots of drinking and wenching and battle in
Valhalla.
Not just in Valhalla, actually. I think that's part of, no matter where you go in Asgard, I think one of the perks for the Viking afterlife is the way you basically spend your days is in glorious combat. But even if you die, you get up at the end of it to go drink with your buddies and do it again tomorrow.
Oh, it's training for Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And I know to some people that sounds horrible. That sounds like a great way, though, to me, to spend the afterlife fighting with my buddies and getting better to fight these other horrible things that are coming if we're not already in Second World. I think that might be a discussion for another show. I mean, Ragnarok needs to be discussed here on the Afterlife show, but...
well, maybe.
At least touched on. I mean...
Take a shot, Alex.
Take a shot, Alex. We're touching it.
Yes, you are going to be plastered by the end of this show. Just like her... Anyhow.
Focus.
Trying. It's not working. But no, we have so many options.
Yeah.
And we have... I think the battle comes down to how did you fight in life?
Yeah.
If you were witty, if you were, say, a silver-tongued a-hole, like you... Shut up. Yes. That's... there are no sheep here. Shut up. That's bad.
Take a shot, Alex.
Oh... Anyhow.
Depends on how you fought in life.
Yeah. I think that the gods do not watch our daily minutia. They don't care.
Would bore the shit out of them.
Yeah. And there's 7.5 billion people. Maybe more.
Folks.
That's a lot. That's a lot to keep your eye on. Eye. As long as it's not your other one. Take a shot, Alex. Anyhow. That's a lot to keep track of. Basically, I think kind of like sort of how the Egyptian afterlife, you were weighed at the end of life.
Yeah, the feather in the heart.
Yeah. And so basically at the end of life, if you were a good person, you were an honorable person, then guess what? You kind of get your choice, is how I feel. If Odin or Freya doesn't specifically choose you, It's kind of like welcome to Asgard or welcome to Elheim.
Yeah.
Roam at your leisure.
See, and to me, that's an exciting prospect for the afterlife, too. I mean, everybody looks at the afterlife different, but I mean, to me, that would be neat to enter this great, and it's not an exaggeration or Christianization here to say golden realm, because it is often described that way, to enter this great golden realm and go
and Valhalla
and get to go, hey, you can wander around, see everything, take your time, do what you want. Hey, I don't get enough travel time in this life, so if I get a bunch in the afterlife, I'll use it.
I'll pull your cart, buddy.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Wait, does that make me an ass? No, all
No,
the shitty behavior makes me an ass.
I was going to say the other things you do make you an ass. But I mean, and our afterlife doesn't aim for perfect behavior. You don't only get into this place or that place if you perfectly do this or perfectly do that. Because nobody. That's and I'm not. It may sound like it, but I'm not pigeonholing one particular religion here because there's several that have that. You have to do perfect this or perfect that. I think that's asking too much of humans.
Well, even our gods aren't perfect.
Yeah, we're not perfect. Everybody's screwed up, everybody's made mistakes. People have lied. We've done things we're not proud of. It happens. So, and yeah, our gods reflect that in heathenism, which is one thing I love.
I would say in most polytheistic faiths.
In most, not in all, but in most of them, yes, they do. And I like the fact that you're not expected to have been perfect because, like I said, expecting perfect from a human, you're overshooting.
Yeah,
you're way. There just is no such thing as a perfect human. So you can't expect, you're only going to get to this afterlife if you're perfect. Oh, crap.
I think certain monotheistic religions built that in as a way of covering their own butt. Since no one was actually going to make it to their heaven, they'd be like, oh, well, I'm disappointed.
Well, here's why.
Yeah. I cheated on a test in the 3rd grade, so clearly... And
really, small transgressions like that being held... Especially if most of your life was good. Yeah, if you did really good most of your life, but you had some small transgression somewhere, for that to weigh so heavily against everything else seems unfair. And I know life's not fair, but
a pop culture reference we were talking about earlier, Preacher. Would Arseface have really gone to hell at the end of his death or at the end of his life?
Right.
He was a good person. He was a good person who fucked up badly.
Yeah, he really screwed up, but he was at his core a good person. Will be.
Almost said Johnny Depp. The Keanu Reeves, Constantine. That person committed suicide. He died.
Right.
Now they go with the whole Christian dichotomy. So does Preacher.
Right. He was aimed at hell for it. Basically, going to hell.
He went to hell. He was there for 2 minutes, which they explain is a lifetime.
Yeah.
I could see that. Especially if it's supposed to be torturous.
Right.
Your time dilation would be just crazy.
Right.
But when he comes back, he saves countless people, fights monsters, and yet there's still the constant threat of hell.
And
because as a teenager, he committed one horrible sin.
And you get the idea that he doesn't come back and do it just to try and make brownie points. Like, it honestly changed him. He went, that's not the person I want to be.
Right.
And did all these things to be a better person. Surely that one thing can't be so heavy that it outweighs all that other stuff. Doesn't make sense.
That's why I firmly believe that it is a matter of essentially the weight of your being. Were you good overall? Were you bad overall?
Did you strive to be a good person?
Now,
for these people that strive to be good, there are unfortunately people who strive to be, and I have to use good in little quoting fingers, to earn brownie points. Like, I'm doing good things. Yeah, but if you're doing it because it's the thing to do to get you a gold sticker, you're not really a good person.
Right.
It's a good shell with a sour asshole center.
I threw it out there after... I get a lot of hate, by the way. I threw it out there after the Haiti earthquake that people were taking just the softest way. They were allowing the Red Cross to take $10 from their bank accounts. Right. There's no action there. It's like, you want to help Haiti? do something to help Haiti. Don't just say, "Oh, I will allow you to take." But
like I know
as individuals, we need to act locally.
I know something that a lot of people were doing after that particular disaster, and it picked up and has happened for disasters since, where people were actively putting together these huge care packages of blankets and water and things like that, and sending those. That's very actively doing something. I very much approve of that kind of activity.
Unfortunately, though, unless it's local, that is actually frowned upon by all of these organizations because they have. Because they have to clean the stuff. They have to make sure that it doesn't have bed bugs. They have to make sure that the food is still good. They have to do all this extra stuff. Sorting
it makes it harder for them.
Much harder. If you send them money or donate blood, those are the two best things you can do for disaster relief. I've taken classes on disaster response, stuff like that, and that's one of the main things that they point out is that how you donate is important. If you send goods, about 10% of what you send is going to get used. And it's going to take up a ton of their resources to sort and store and all that other stuff.
So the moral of the story, don't listen to me, folks. Listen to him.
If you really want to help and you can afford to do so, give money, give blood. Those things are useful. Because if you give money, they can directly buy the supplies they need. And when they buy in bulk, which decreases their price. And most companies give a steeper discount because it's going to directly disaster relief. Because they get a tax cut, so on and so forth. But it comes down to give them money, but do it actively. Don't be passive.
Right.
But if you really want to help, go teach a kid to read. Go help a homeless person get on their feet.
Yeah.
If you're in a position to do that. I've got kids at home. I've got a wife. I can't bring a homeless person into my house and help them get straight.
But that does
take a shot, Alex.
That does make me want to. I'm going to tangent here a little bit off of your tangent, but something I saw on the interwebs.
This is actually related.
Something I saw on the interwebs that's very connected to that. I didn't see what city it was in, unfortunately, but there's this guy who, it's in one of the bigger cities. I do know that. One of the bigger, more quote-unquote major cities. Guy's a
major metropolitan.
Guy's a barber, works Monday through Friday. Well, on his weekends, he skateboards around the city and gives the poor and the homeless and just plain poor haircuts and beard trimmings and everything. So they'll
shampooing, all that
so they can try to get apartments or get jobs and things like that,
or just increase
their confidence, their self-confidence.
I was going to say just the quality of life.
Yeah,
dude.
Believe me, when you feel confident, your body, when you feel more confident in yourself and your looks, your quality of life is a little better.
Okay, the song going in this week is pretty long, so let's go ahead and wrap up for the commercial break.
Be back soon, folks.
Well, you can reach us at thisweirdroad@gmail.com. No one has yet, buttheads. Or This Weird Road on Facebook. You can also call the Tree of Life caller line at 502-276-5665.
And I do want to tell folks that after the break, we have a bit of a treat for you guys.
We have the Ectophone up and running.
So we're going to place our first call and see what happens.
Hell yeah.
See you soon, folks.
It's been pointed out to us that This Weird Road is not a scholarly program.
Harass of frozen YouTube comments. Those are frozen trolls.
But we have fun with it anyway. Thanks for listening to PTRN and This Weird Road.
I know. I'll hunt the trolls.
Hooray! Ha-ha!
For the serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. In the afterlife, you'll be headed for the serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. The people listen attentively. I mean about future calamity. I used to think the idea was obsolete until I heard the old man stamping his feet. Where eternally fire is applied to the body. Teeth are extruded and bones are ground and baked into cakes which are passed around. The afterlife could be headed for the serious strife. Now you take the scene all day, but tomorrow heavy has to pay.
If you use our show as a drinking game, you're probably going to die. And also, don't blame us for it. Thanks for listening to This Weird Road on PTRN.
That's my mead.
It's your turn. Trust us, Alex. Take another shot.
Yeah, it was that kind of break.
Welcome back to This Weird Road. I'm Boli Thorne.
I'm still Wolf Hammerheart.
At least that's what his underwear says. All right.
Why are you looking at my underwear?
Why aren't you?
Fair point.
All right, now, for the thing we've all been waiting for. We are 14 episodes in.
Before we do this special thing, I know we're both very excited. Maybe you should talk to the folks about reincarnation first.
Did we want to do that before or after the call? I guess we could do before.
Yeah. We don't know how this thing's going to work. We're a little new to it.
There's a lot of switches and knobs and stuff.
Take a drink, Alex.
Anyhow. Okay, so yes, reincarnation.
Which I know is a thing, is a viable path choice for our people, but I don't know a whole lot of the info, so a lot of that's you here.
Okay, I've looked into a lot of that too. Basically, reincarnation, as far as heathens are concerned, comes down to one basic thing, in that it's ancestral, at least as it's written here. Is like, you're not going to have been Cleopatra unless you are a descendant of Cleopatra, who is also named Cleo Damn Patra.
Right, because the naming has something to do with bearing the name of the ancestor.
The way I understand it is it kind of opens the door for the ancestor with that name to sort of step in.
That makes me feel really bad for people named Olaf.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows history,
Olaf.
There was a very horrible Norse king who...
I'm reluctant to use that term as I am to call the Norse, head Cheeto in charge president.
Norse ruler who did some very, very bad things to and for our people.
He was the first Christian king.
And he was definitely Christianized by the sword kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, and he continued that process within his kingdom. Forced conversions. Mass conversions, and tearing down temples, repurposing. It was
horrendous. But
I want to go back in time and stab him in the dick hole.
It's very specific. So it could be very bad for someone named Olaf. But to get back on the track of that.
But he was named for, I want to say it's his great-grandfather, who was a good leader of the Norse people. And he claimed to be a reincarnation of his great-grandfather. Anyhow, it is an option, and I suppose it's the one that has the least really backing it up. We are, no doubt, an ancestral faith. We definitely lead towards, or lean towards, basically honoring our ancestors.
Yeah, we're not exactly ancestor worship, but the ancestors are very important to us.
Right.
I mean, most heathens even believe if you basically take it back far enough, our ultimate ancestors, if you will, are the gods.
Well, I mean, humans were essentially found stumbling in the mud by Odin, Loki, and Honir.
Stumbling in the dark, that's us.
Yeah.
I stumble in the light, but I'm a special case.
At least there were no Legos to step on then.
Or D4s.
Role-playing caltrops.
Indeed.
Anyhow, so we have reincarnation as a viable option if you have descendants or you are named for one of your ancestors. You could have essentially a spark of them.
So it's an interestingly narrow option, but it's there. See, this is news to me. I'm learning things as we sit here, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very loose as far as there's not a lot that.
This is actually prompting me to go do some research.
There's people who claim it, and it makes, this is why you're going to get a ton of Danes naming their children Beowulf.
Yeah.
In an effort to try and draw that weird back into their lives.
Right. Try to draw that particular connection.
Yeah. And because ours is not so much a whole being as far as reincarnation is concerned, it's aspects.
Right.
You would draw in the bravery or the leadership or whatever of
like one assumes that probably Olaf's parents named him after the grandfather in hopes that he would emulate those good aspects, being a good leader, being a kind man, the things that the grandfather was known for. Right. That is usually what people want when they name their child after a certain person.
Right, and that's the funny thing is because people do it all the time. But I've noticed there's been a lot more people who are naming them after deceased friends or something like that, and that doesn't provide the same connection as far as this aspect is concerned.
Although I wonder if it might if you name them after someone for an honorable reason like that, like somebody who gave their life. So it draws interesting questions, I
think. And that's unfortunately one of the things that when it comes to the afterlife, we have more questions than answers.
And always will, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
the only time we're going to get the solid answers, we're not exactly going to be able to return and tell people what those answers are.
Well, that may not.
Well, we're working.
That may not be true because we have the ectophone.
We have some technology here that leans toward that.
We're tingling.
We've been building this thing for months, folks. He's incredibly excited.
Well,
I'm excited too.
I have put blood, sweat, and tears, and honestly, Alex, go ahead and take another drink.
And in my case, literally blood, because I slipped with the one carving incident, and that hurt a lot. But
you're not the one that got stabbed.
Fair point. Not that time, anyway. Anyway, folks, this is called the ectophone. The theory is this little device here is going to let us call, in this case, Valhalla. We're zeroing in on a specific number.
Well, we will receive calls.
Well, yeah, let us communicate with Valhalla, I should say. I phrased it wrong. My apologies. Let's crank this sucker up and see what we got here.
Once we get the power going, it's only a matter of time. We'll see if anyone calls.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, come on.
Moment here. There, come on. There we go. All right.
Okay, all right. All the lights are on. That's only a matter of time.
Flip some of the switches here. Get this thing going. All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. The line's lighting up. Let's see here.
Blinking. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we got a call. Oh, there's a fish on the line here. Pick it up, man. Get closer. I'm nervous.
This weird road. This is Boli Thorn.
Hello, three babies.
Hello?
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 Hello? Yes, this is the American Dream. This is Dusty
Holy
Rose.
crap! Dusty!
Who am I speaking to here?
This is Boli Thorne. I've been a huge fan of your... But I thought we were calling... We were trying to get a hold of Valhalla.
Yeah, you were looking for the Valhallas? This is the Valhallas.
You're in Valhalla?
I am, yes. The American Dream, believe it or not, folks. Right now I'm the Valhalla Dream. It's Dusty Rhodes. I am in Valhalla. Let me explain. There's a little story that goes here, sweet baby.
Oh, I'm sure there...
You see, back when the dream passed on, and I passed into this ethereal place, there was a little confusion. I looked around one day, and time worked different here, you understand?
I do.
And I realized I was on this big tree. So I climbed up the big tree. That's nothing new to the dream. I used to climb trees a lot as a kid in Texas.
And the rope work, too. You did amazing
Oh,
rope
you know
work.
my career. I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Anyway, turned out I come to this big shining city, and these people led me. They didn't say much words. Led me to a hall, and I asked them where I was, and they said, "You're in Asgard." I said, "I don't know what's an Asgard. What are we God?" And they said, "No, that's not how that works." They said, "We have to take you to the Valhallas to meet Odin, and he's
the All-Father, yes.
He's our leader. He's gonna explain some things to you." I'm very confused. I said, "This isn't where the dream belongs." They said, "Well, what they told me was if I'm here, I ended up here for a reason." So I figured, okay, if this man's the leader, he's gonna know what's what for the dream.
He's gonna know who Dusty Rose is for sure.
Oh, you flatter me, sweet babies. So anyway, we go on here. You just sit on back and get comfortable. The dream likes to tell stories. Now, I get in here, and they lead me to there's this large, very imposing gentleman, long beard, one eye. His name is Odin. You understand?
The All-Father.
Yes, and I introduced myself to him, and I asked why I'm here, and he says, "Well, Mr. Rhodes," and I said, "Hold on, Daddy."
Well, he is the All-Daddy.
I said, "Hold on, though, Daddy. If there's one thing you got to understand, Mr. Rhodes was my daddy. I am the son of a plumber. I'm a simple, hard-working man. I am not Mr. Rhodes. I am Dusty, or the Dream, if you will, but never Mr. Rhodes. That's my daddy." He said, okay, he understood this. As you say, he is the old daddy. And he explained it to me, you understand, that this was a place for great warriors. I said, well, maybe the dream does belong here. He said there were 9 things I had to emulate. He said, you got to have self-discipline. I said, that's not a problem.
Absolutely not.
He said, you got to have hospitality. I said, Daddy, I was born in the South. We come out speaking hospitality, so that's not a problem. He said, perseverance. I said, you mean hard work? He said, that's what I mean. I said, the dream worked hard his whole life. I'm all about it. So he explained this whole thing to me, Daddy, and I realized maybe I am belonging in the Valhalla. Maybe I'm the Viking dream. So he also explained to me, it gets better, Daddy. He said, sweet babies, I couldn't believe my ears. He said the whole thing was you get to fight all day and drink all night. I said, you mean I'm back at the gardens? Sounds like SMG, you see, to the dream, because that was how I lived. I lived on the road, working hard, fighting all day, and drinking way more nights than I should have. So they said they had to test me, though. So they put me out on this great big battlefield, and the next thing you know, the dream's out there.
The strap came down?
I had to put the strap down real quick, Daddy. I'm dropping elbows. I'm giving flip-flop flows, a couple of butts, body slam some people on spears. Next thing you know, they're giving me a hornful of this stuff called mead, and I'm in the Valhallas. I have, in fact, been rechristened the Valhallan Dream, Daddy. So there you go. I am Dusty Rhodes, and this is Valhalla.
Thank you for your time, Dusty.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
It has been an honor speaking to the Valhallan Dream.
I'm glad to know there's a way to communicate with the peoples. Maybe I'll be back, but until then, there's a horn of me with my name on it, Daddy. I'm out. Oh my God.
Oh my.
I'm sorry, folks. I sat here stunned the whole time. That is not who we expected to talk to.
Oh, USWA. I mean,
yeah.
Crap on a cracker. This is...
That you got to understand, we grew up
in the South?
Yeah, in the South. So wrestling is sort of, we cut our teeth on it. In some cases, literally,
or
like
other
chewing on the
people's.
ropes. Yeah. So the ectophone's definitely going to make our life interesting. I did not expect that. So
I did not expect. Dusty in Valhalla.
We were
He was clearly a very Southern Baptist boy.
Yeah, but apparently he's having a good time.
Obviously.
So definitely keep your ears and eyes out for the Ectophone in the future, folks. As a matter of fact, if you really want us to use the Ectophone more in the future, go to any of those sources. Go to the listener line or our Facebook page or our Gmail and drop us a line and tell us.
No.
I can't guarantee we're going to have an experience like that again. Holy crap. But
for the first run, that's amazing.
That's on air half hour right there.
We just kind of slapped this thing together over the weekend. And
I guess the old Chinese man did sell us some mystical parts.
That was racist. He was Japanese.
Was he?
He was.
I'm sorry.
You didn't buy a Mogwai from him.
Oh, heck no. Don't feed those things after midnight.
And really, in what time zone? Is that still on... Are they still on China time?
What time zone do you not feed? Does that mean you can never feed Mogwai? Maybe have
because
a 2-hour window?
It's always after midnight? Yeah.
These are questions to ponder, folks.
Not really.
And really things you're only going to hear pondered here on this weird road. Because most of the time it's weird with a Y, but sometimes we got the E and the I too.
E-I-O. Oh, why did anyone give us a show?
I think they're going to be asking themselves that very shortly. I'm pretty sure there are times when Raven's running the board, she just, why? God's why?
And to the Rhodes family, please come by and talk to us. We would love that.
Oh, that would make our day. Again.
Yeah, it was enough to get to, it was a huge honor to get to speak to
the man
Dusty
himself.
again.
Yeah.
I'd met him. You mentioned the gardens.
Yeah.
I'd met him here.
At Louisville. Well,
yeah, Louisville
I think he was talking about Madison Square, but yeah.
No. He was clearly talking about Louisville Gardens.
I take it from a local perspective. I'm good with that.
But yeah, it was just, I'm all Twitter-pated.
Right. Well, we're talking about the afterlife, and again, I've mentioned several times, everybody has their own take on it. We know we all do. Everybody who thinks about the afterlife, everybody's slant is a little different because you take it from personal perspective. And, I have so many friends of so many different paths. The call there with Dusty proves it. Maybe everybody's at least a little right, and maybe we'll get like day passes to talk to each other.
Well, the tree Yggdrasil, it connects all worlds. So
yeah, so
get yourself a Sherpa and a Sharpie and
I guess that's what
shallots.
Apparently
and
Dusty
Gene Shallot and
well, he's in there somewhere too. Apparently Dusty tripped over some roots and ended up in the wrong world, but
hey,
like I said, he sounded like he's having a good time.
Wrong world.
Well, in the world he didn't expect.
Okay.
But he sounded like he's having a good time.
He always sounds like he's having a good time though.
The picture of him dropping
elbows
and flip-flop flows, and if you don't know what that is that he referenced, if you're not a wrestling fan, I cannot explain the flip-flop flow to you.
I'm sure you can YouTube
Google
it.
Dusty Google Dusty Rhodes and flip-flop flow. The butt's easy to explain. He literally used to take his ass and slam it into people. It was hilarious. Well, probably not to them, but basically he was doing this shit before Rikishi.
Oh yes. Okay, so
the show's ending on a giddy kid-like note because we're kind of excited here, folks.
Ending. We still got 10 minutes, buddy.
Oh, we got 10 minutes to blather at you guys.
Well, we could get into these in detail because we really didn't.
As best we can. See, that's the thing. I knew we weren't going to be able to cover everything in every detail because there's so much. But again, I'll say that if there are listeners that think we should do another show on this that want to hear more, call in and let us know. We're always looking for subject matter for shows. Yeah.
There's also to consider there's other afterlives. I've studied world religion, not just ours.
Yeah, same here. I'm kind of an amateur theologian. Can't talk again today. Almost an amateur polytheologian. No, I'm a amateur theologian. I am a polytheist. I'm crossing streams there.
There was also crossing streams in the bathroom too. But
take a shot, Alex. It's always interested me.
Wait a minute, that's sexual to you?
That a lot of. No, I just thought it involved penis, so we should take a shot. That's
what she said?
meant of penicillin. But, it's always interested me that so many of the religions, even a lot of the ones that, are at the throats of others that think they're the be-all, end-all, have so many
shared themes?
Shared themes, like angels, for example. go through Christianity and Judaism
Well, it
and
starts before that.
Persians. I was going to say, the Persians and Zoroaster and all that all had it.
Zoroastrianism, I would say, is probably the root of what we consider angels in Western society.
Yeah, and then there's the concept of the world tree or tree of life, which, of course, we have in heathenism.
Damn near every religion.
More than I can count.
I kind of like the Hindu birthed from an egg, basically. Now, what laid that egg? Was it a turtle? I think it was a turtle.
I don't think their path actually says. I think they leave that open on purpose.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is kind of interesting.
Well, I mean,
was it a giant chicken? Was it the world turtle?
I do believe it was great A2 in the world turtle.
And I know in at least one of the...
does that mean there's tiny elephant eggs to go with it?
One of the Chinese stories, one of their not quite gods, but heroes, is born from a big egg.
Yes.
The Monkey King.
Yes.
So, I mean, there are all these parallels all over the place, and everybody's so convinced with their way being the right way that they don't see, maybe,
I was talking about it with
people are people.
With Michelle Lee about how it's funny that all of our oldest stories are essentially superhero tales.
Uh-huh.
Beowulf, clearly a superhero.
Absolutely.
Zoroaster, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was definitely...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the thing is it's kind of... It had been thrown around that he wrote his own story.
Gilgamesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of his supposed, for lack of a better term, powers was immortality.
Yeah. Is it really a power, though?
As you and I have discussed privately, it's kind of a curse. I'd hate being immortal. Physically immortal?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, the sadness you'd go through?
But what if you just keep aging, too?
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, you eventually become
leave it to Boli folks to take it that step further to the worst place.
You'd essentially become a raisin with a spine sticking out of it.
Hopefully you still had a spine. I mean,
it'd be my luck. That would be the one thing that's still there, and still causing me pain.
Well, yeah, you and I both have that in common, different ways, but yeah.
But I mean, one of our other listeners, Jessie, is all like, she wants to be immortal, and I'm like, that noise.
Yeah, see, like I said, to me, and again, even those of us who think immortality is a bad thing have different takes on it. Like the reasons you think it would be bad is one thing.
We could tie this back in.
And for me, it'd be bad because, like I said, the sadness you carry watching. If you're immortal, but not everybody's immortal, then you have to watch. You have to grow to care for people, and then watch these people die over and oh man, I don't think I could take it. I'm a strong dude, but sadness.
I can bring this around.
Heavy sadness can break the strongest man eventually.
By strong, he means B.O. But
well, strong is strong, right?
No, that's incorrect.
Bring it around.
Anyhow, even in our afterlives, we're not immortal.
Yeah. Because
in the end, at Ragnarok,
everybody dies, essentially.
You get a grave. You get a grave. You all get graves.
Yet, in the preamble, if you will, in the training for it, in Valhalla and Asgard and such, we kind of are, because everybody comes back from those battles, gets mended and everything.
Right.
Like, you fight and die all day, but even the dead, at the end of the day, even the dead get up off the field and go drink.
Yeah.
So,
see, now I have always taken it as, since the gods end up in Helheim, as evidenced by Baldur's presence there after his death.
Yeah.
And so people have argued that, well, clearly that's a contradiction because he died a violent death, but he did not die a noble death. He died in the middle of deceit while playing a game where people threw crap at him.
Yeah. Honestly, there was I think there might have even been a little hubris there, because he had obviously gotten cocky. Yeah, go ahead, throw whatever you want at me. Nothing's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the look on his face when the dart pierced him? Nothing's going to... Why did that stick? Ow.
And why did this tiny prick kill me?
Take a drink.
No! It shouldn't have hurt that bad.
Line of the night, apparently.
Why does it burn?
Oh, we're not talking about Valtrex, man. Google it.
But anyhow, so you have even then, it seems to me that even at the end of Ragnarok, that everyone, with the exception of those who came out, which would be Honir, Baldur.
Oh, you mean who survive it?
No, the ones who get to return.
Oh, who return through it, yeah.
Technically, no one but Lef and Lefsir gets to survive. Because the war ain't over till everybody's dead. When Surtur burns Midgard, and
there are a couple of gods who, according to the stories, make it through.
No, they don't. They don't live. They come back. 6 were allowed to come back.
Okay. Again, bit of a misconception.
Baldur, Honir, Third, which would be Thor's daughter, in case you don't know.
I didn't know Third made. I know his sons both make it. Magni and Many make it. In the things I've read, I didn't know Third. I know who Third is, but I didn't think she was among the survivors. So see, this is why our traditions being set down later is a little confusing.
I would have to look it up.
Different sources tell us slightly different things.
Yeah, I would have to look it up and check a couple different references, but.
Now I'm gonna.
Right. Speaking of things that you need to be looking up, are you done with Neil Gaiman's book?
Neil Gaiman's take on the myths, which I highly recommend. Not yet, but I'm close.
I will slap the snot out of you.
You'll get it as soon as I'm done, buddy. No worries.
All right. I'm poor. I guess that's the best way to put that.
That's the honest way to put it. We're so poor some days we can't pay attention.
Flavin. All right. So we have a few options again. Some of them seem to be pretty much circumstantial. Going to Rand, who is not a god, she is a giant. Again, I don't even use giantess.
The gods and the giants kind of worked like this.
But she is specifically listed as a giant, whereas Aegir, who I believe it's kind of murky, is her husband. Maybe.
Yeah.
Is also a giant, but also listed as a deity.
Well, I mean, Loki's a giant, as we all know, and he's listed also as a deity, so.
He can always be my deity, Keith.
There's some crossover. He is your bodyguard.
Yes. Anyhow, Loki takes the wheel. Not that one!
Funniest visual ever.
Anyhow, so we have all these different possible realms. And there's the possibility of, I guess you'd say, sort of a partial reincarnation, a bit of lending your spirit to to a descendant.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the only one that has any real moral judgment laid on it is Nostrin, and it was a Christian, as far as we can tell, anyway, a Christian invention.
Yeah.
Because it's all vipers hanging from the ceiling and just all that, and
specifically a place for bad people. You said basically, and we don't really have a place like that. That's why it feels to me like someone tried to shoehorn it in. Even
Strossen's description of hell, which is not for bad people, still comes off as a bad place because it's boring and everything is slow.
Well, to the Vikings, boring was bad.
Right.
To us, boring, but you and I hate boring.
Squirrel!
But in our case, hell's the person, not the place. Also, there's that one.
Well, there's Helheim, which would be her home, or Nephilim. Now there is Nidhogg, the corpse eater.
Yeah, the large dragon that chews on the roots of the world tree,
but also devours
the corpses.
So
always got to get nutrition. You figure the roots are.
An interesting thing that came up was the dead always go through the opening at the front, but anytime someone comes into Helheim who's not dead, they circumvent it somehow. They go over walls or come in through magic, jump over the gates on a magic horse.
Maybe they're afraid if they come in through the front gates, they'll be confused with the dead and be stuck.
Yeah. Just an interesting thought.
Helheim is also where the Einhander wait, right?
No, the Einhir are Odin's sacred dead.
Right, but I thought they're his sacred dead, but I thought there's some connection between them and Helheim.
They would be in Valhalla.
Okay.
Well, everyone ends up in Helheim after Ragnarok.
After Ragnarok, that's true. Maybe that's where I'm getting it.
Okay, folks, we are coming to the end of this. Again, we could cover afterlives and not just ours, but others.
Yeah.
for many shows. So send in your suggestions to
Well, because-
thisweirdroad@gmail.com or thisweirdroad@facebook.com
Or you can call the line
at 502-276-5665. We have basically our pub moots every month. Check our Facebook pages for those updates.
Yeah, we do have one coming
June
up.
9th.
Yeah, well, I don't know when that'll be in correlation to this show since we pre-record.
Oh, that's going to be like way late.
Yeah, but trust me, there will be one somewhere probably not too long after whenever this plays.
Which is...
with the exception of 1 month where things went nuts, we do have
it's 53,
one every month. So
5316 Bardstown Road, Louisville, Kentucky. I want to say it's 40253.
I think it's 5-3. It's the Hibachi Sushi Buffet.
Yeah.
Good food, good friends, lots of craziness. Sometimes we even talk about heatheny things. We actually managed to do that. Although, as I pointed out to people before, the mere gathering at the pub moot is a quote-unquote heatheny thing because it's hospitality and it's community and it's checking up on our people. Because for I know at least he's getting better. He's good. He was actually in great spirits the other day. For I know at least Boli and I, it really is that because there are some people like the individual we just mentioned whom we don't get to see except at these moots.
Right.
And so we, it's our way of touching base and going, hey, haven't had a
shot,
chance.
Alex.
Hey, haven't had a chance to communicate with you. How are you doing? Do you need anything, etc., etc. It's our way of keeping track of our people. That makes it sound a little more haughty than I meant, but we mean well by it.
Hello.
That's it.
Man, I can't wait till the Queen calls us on the ectophone. Oh, wait a minute. She's still alive. Sorry, Queen. I don't want you dead. Anyhow.
I guess Princess Di could be on the line somewhere.
Oh!
Why? Ow!
I don't know why. But still.
It's accurate. I think it just likes hitting me. All right.
It does turn me on.
Meandering aside, folks, hopefully you learned something. I know I actually learned something this episode.
Thing or two.
So, hopefully you learned something, and hopefully we'll have actual knowledge to spew at you along with goofiness next week. So, hey, all I can say is keep your weird clean and try to be a good person. See you next week.
All right, folks. Keep your wits as sharp as your swords. Have a good one.